So tariffs are going to destroy, I mean, absolutely destroy the housing market. That's all I keep hearing. I'm hearing it from realtors that have been in this business for a minute. I'm hearing it from financial lenders that have been in the business for 50 years. Nobody seems to know anything about anything. And I've even had to question people that are running their mouth about this on even if they know what the definition of a tariff is. So let's keep it educational today. Will tariffs change the housing market? Will they raise mortgage rates? Let's talk about what we know. First off, what's a tariff? A tariff is a tax on imported goods that makes foreign products more expensive, which encourage people to buy locally. I'm going to say that again because it's important for you to understand what this vehicle is. What is the motion of a tariff? A tariff is a tax on goods that are brought in from the United States, imported. That makes that foreign product more expensive because it taxed a tariff on top of what the cost already was. The purpose is to encourage people to buy locally, even the market, right? So if you've been buying cheaper because you're buying online from a foreign country and now it has a tariff, that equalizes the prices. So now, why not buy American? You could have bought American the whole time. The difference is it was so egregiously cheaper that it didn't make financial sense for you to buy American. The tariff equalizes the market between foreign and domestic goods so that you have a true equal choice of quality, quantity, and availability. 2, the new tariffs, let's just talk about the standardized tariffs, keep the math easy for everybody. The new tariff began at 10% on imports, with additional rates that were applied specifically to countries and construction materials like steel and lumber. Obviously, a huge part of what we used in the housing market to build the product we buy and sell. As those construction costs will rise due to tariffs, home prices could potentially go up. Mortgage rates might even follow. But ultimately, real estate agents need to keep their clients informed about tariff changes because I'm telling you, you're forgetting the golden rule. The value of a home is what someone is willing to pay for it. So I don't care if you build it for $500,000. If the market, the people with the money, the lenders, the people that are going to finance it are only willing to pay $400,000, then you probably better stop building houses at that expensive rate. Tariff changes are going to mean that you and they and all of your partners inside of a real estate transaction are going to lean heavily on the agent, us, to help plan for any potential rising costs and to guide people when to lock in rates or potentially explore other financing options. You may have to get creative. So there's some points that I'm going to base today's entire discussion on in there so that we can dive in a little bit deeper, give you some better understanding as to what's happening. Maybe quelch some of the fears, maybe make people understand that just like the stock market, real estate is an investment. Now you've got physical assets behind this. You've got other external variables that can make adjustments, but this is one of them. And this is something that a lot of us haven't lived through while we were of the age that we were buying houses. We've never been in a tariff scenario that we knew of that was affecting the way that we did these investment purchases. So why now? Why, Alex, am I not getting to hear about how to be a better realtor today? This is how you become a better realtor. Being a realtor and a consultant, my job is to be a beacon of truth. My job is to make sure I know what's going on, what's affecting the housing market, why are there more buyers, or why are there more sellers, or what is the level of our inventory, and what the hell does that mean, and how is it a buyer's market versus a seller's market versus an equalized market. It's like tracking the price of gas. Everybody's got 500 theories about what makes it happen, but nobody really knows why it's that price at the pump. On April 2nd of this year, our current president, Donald Trump, and his administration announced a broad set of tariffs. This included a 10% baseline tariff on all imports and additional import tariffs on specific countries and goods. So this move sent shockwaves through the housing market. What shockwaves mean is it raised a lot of questions about what comes next. It gauged a level of uncertainty that people that are taking risks on investment don't like to have. They like to have as close to a crystal ball as possible so that they can predict the future of their investment. So, with tariffs targeting imported materials such as steel and lumber, builders are facing rising costs of materials. By the way, we dealt with this in Florida. We deal with this in Florida quite often in major catastrophes. Hurricane Central wiping things out and us needing more materials and having a supply and demand problem or a shortage of materials needed to buy materials to build houses causes this exact same effect. Uncertainty in the market. The difference with tariffs is it affects the entire United States. At the same time this is happening, people are watching inflation. Will inflation rise because of these tariffs? Could it drive mortgage rates higher? Could it make homeownership even less affordable for many? And notice, there's a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda in there because nobody knows. Nobody's done this. Nobody has done it in such a precise and precision market strategy from the presidential level all the way down through our local economy. So for home buyers, investors, real estate professionals, the stakes are high. This is a high stakes, high risk game. The dollar you're spending today might become worth 50 cents tomorrow or might become worth $3. As tariffs continue to shape our global market, you need to understand the impact on how it will hit you in the mortgage rates, how it will hit you in housing affordability. Now more than ever, it's crucial that you understand the politics and the money movement behind buying and selling homes. I'm going to break down as much of these tariff-driven changes that affect home prices and could affect mortgage rates and what you can do to navigate shifting conditions. Because as a good real estate agent, no matter what's going on in the market, and we've dealt with plenty. In my stint in real estate, I have seen the market shift 5 times that I can count. And this market shift is still just potential. I haven't seen any immediate change, although all of this is already going on. Now, granted, tariffs might kick in today, but there is a waved impact. It takes a while before we actually see what happens. And tariffs are turned off one day, turned on another day. They're still being used as some type of negotiating tool. I am not a member of Congress or the legislative branch of the U.S. government, so I certainly can't tell you what the mindset is, but I can tell you right now the U.S. is being driven by a businessman. Businessman is going to use the tools in the same political toolbox much differently. And I don't care what side of the fence you're on, whether you're on a Republican or a Democrat presidency, this president, this legislature that is in place is simply doing things different. And we need to take our time as investors and be smart and learn how to use it to our advantage, regardless of who's driving the bus. Let's talk about mortgage rates for a second. How could tariffs affect mortgage rates? I'm going to give you some key points so that you, as my home buyer crew and my investors, I'm glad we have such a big crowd today. We obviously hit a note with our live session with some keywords, and my my craziness at the very beginning that the Google and the YouTube algorithms obviously like. But let's talk about how they could affect mortgage rates. Tariffs can cause short-term decline. So tariffs uncertainty, meaning people don't understand it or don't understand what the impact will be and can't predict it. And because there's so many moving parts and so quickly those parts are moving that they have no way to understand. So mortgage rates might lift or lower temporarily because we're guessing. And so are our local government strategists against this market. Next thing it could cause is maybe potentially higher inflation. Tariffs can increase prices, raising inflation, thus raising mortgage rates. We haven't seen it yet. We've had a lot of pushback from the Fed versus the government. There's obviously some disagreement on how the tariffs should be operationally handed back to the people. So it's going to be interesting for you to watch. And I'm telling you this and educating you with an unbiased structure. Again, I don't care what a political affiliation you are. If we're all talking about the almighty dollar here, we need to watch it from an investment strategy and nothing else. Construction costs. Tariffs on materials like steel and lumber will absolutely drive up the home builder expenses. And for those of us that are in a market where we are constantly in a battle with not enough new homes being built, not enough existing homes on the market, or then when it levels, we have a home builder who can control more of their personal home pricing and incentives, whereas a home seller cannot. The battle consistently goes back and forth. And if construction costs are going to go up, that's going to equalize the material pressures between an existing home seller. So my people, my homeowners that have been waiting and have been on the fence very consistently about whether or not they're going to sell their house, if the material costs start going up and the home builders must have their margin, they're going to make 35% no matter what on this house, that will force a home price to go up if they are in that business mindset, putting you in a more advantageous scenario. Your home, as long as you're flexible with your concessions inside of your negotiation, is going to become a hot commodity. So be ready, talk to your agent on your timing, and get that house listed. And then market uncertainty. Uncertainty is a perfect word in what we're dealing with today. Trade tensions can lead to economic volatility and fluctuating mortgage and market rates. I'm here to warn you. You can make a lot of money in the stock market. You can also lose your ass, including your 401ks and all these monies that reside and rely on those market strategies. So if you're counting on that as your base of future and retirement income, you need to beware that you have a more volatile market than you have seen in probably 20 years. Watch your numbers. You may find this is a good time to change your leverage points from a very hot market or a very cold market, depending on the day of the week, to a traditionally more sustainable, longer runway, easier predictability housing market. It all makes sure that your investments capitalize. If you are okay with the long game, the real estate market is fantastic. If you're a first-time home buyer and this is your first opportunity, your home could and should be an investment for you to be able to move on in the future. If you're a younger buyer, you've got more time to take more risk and can wait longer if necessary if the market shifts. Sorry, those of us that are retirees may not be in that situation. We don't have time to wait. So maybe that's not the solution for us. But that market uncertainty is going to change how the Feds raise or lower the interest rates, which is what controls whether everybody else buys or sells. break down tariffs a little further. What the hell are they and why do they matter? Governments globally impose tariffs, again, which are taxes on imported goods to their country. This makes foreign products more expensive and will give a local business a competitive advantage. It makes their locally grown, owned, built, assembled, US made product is going to now equalize their pricing. I'm not saying their prices are going to get cheaper. There's a greed out there that nobody's going to lower their price just because everybody else's prices are going up. If everybody else's prices are going up because of the cost of importing through this new tariff plan, then keeping their prices the same or making sure their prices stay leveraged or level is going to help make it a manufacturing decision, a quality of product decision versus a cheaper goods decision. So here's the catch. The price increase can have a ripple effect that reaches beyond the traditional retailer and far beyond your wallet, especially when it's coming to home building materials. For home buyers and investors, this means paying for construction costs and essential materials like the steel, lumber, and even appliances, honestly, are going to change. And as these costs rise, it's going to be up to the builders of whether or not they're going to adjust their pricing model to compensate or whether they're going to take the hit because the competition will be less. Hear what I'm telling you. Your builder has a choice. Your builder proved to us in the last year when interest rates were high and they could control their interest rates with their internal lenders that they can control their own market. So if the new home builder wants to make adjustments in how they're going to hit their margins or take the hit to keep their housing prices the same because houses that are made with foreign made materials or whatever are going to be more expensive, then they can make that choice. They can make that option. That's going to affect the big box builders that are buying massive amounts of imported materials to try to save margin and to save building cost versus your local builder that may not need to do that. For home buyers and investors, this means that they could potentially pay more for construction costs if they choose the builder that decides their margin is more important than building a solid product with locally sourced goods and materials. This is going to make it a lot harder for potential buyers to afford their dream home if their dream home is built by foreign materials. So what I'm asking my buyers to do, if you're in the new home market, I'm asking you to shop around better. Use your real estate agent because they have connections. They know what's happening in the market. They have done business with a handful of builders out there. They know what their interest rates are. They know what their building costs are. They know whether or not the development that they're building the house in is going up or down in value, which essentially sets the target pricing for how that next house is going to be built, bought, sold, and designed to be pitched to you in whatever their local marketing fashion is at that given moment. You need to do more business now with a real estate agent when you're working with a new home builder than ever before, because those relationships matter. It's who you know that's going to take care of you, that are going to make the difference, and that's going to save you money in the long run, meaning you can capitalize on your investment's value in the long run. How would tariffs affect mortgage rates? Tariffs could impact the mortgage rates in various ways. I'm going to present both opportunities and the challenges for both home buyers and investors. I had to take several notes on this one, so bear with me. Potential benefit. There is some short-term mortgage rate relief. Tariff uncertainty will lead investors to safer assets. They will move to treasury bonds, which will temporarily lower the yields, and this will provide a brief window for home buyers to lock in lower mortgage rates before they rise again. Drawback to that is potentially long-term rate increases. So persistent tariff-driven inflation may prompt the Federal Reserve to raise the interest rates because of the uncertainty scare, leading to the higher mortgage rates over time. You want to watch both. Listen to the feds, watch what they adjust, and then see how you can take advantage of it in the current market. Let's talk about the increase in rental demand. Higher mortgage rates, or if the mortgage rates continue to stay where they are, it's going to prompt potential buyers to enter the rental market. That will boost rental income for those investors, with the understanding that, on the converse, rising construction costs will affect the elevation of repair costs for those same investors. So, like it or not, traditionally, a renter is not going to take care of your property as well as an owner. And I mean traditionally, because believe me, there's plenty of owners out there that do not take care of their product either. But I need you to understand how the repairs and the keeping that, and to keep that house up to sellability, is going to cost you some money as well. And again, it can be as simple as the importation tariffs on foreign appliances that make the difference. There's also potential for lower home prices, right? If tariffs damper the consumer demand on new builds, because obviously tariffs aren't going to directly affect pre-sale homes, it could change the economic growth. So the home prices will stabilize or potentially even decrease. And what changes that, of course, is market volatility. Plenty of uncertainty around trade policies can lead to all types of fluctuations. That's what makes it challenging. That's what makes it difficult for investors to predict short-term market movements. Craziest thing that you can do in real estate is expect that you're going to buy a house and get out of it within 2 and 3 years and expect to be able to make up the money that you sunk into it. And I'm talking to you, my VA buyers, too. Just because you came to the table with no money down and you took advantages of a great VA program that's offered to you, it also means you didn't walk into the home with equity. So it's going to take you even longer to produce an equitable gap. So when you have to PCS out, or whether you decide to go ahead and retire, it's going to be important that your home either held or gained in value because of the market that you bought in or the state that you purchased in. And you're going to have to understand that your biggest marketable change is going to be time. I have to say there's also opportunity here for strategic investment. Those of you with capital and have access to money, you may find opportunities to acquire properties at lower prices during a market turn down. So if the changes in the builder's market push everybody into the resale market, chances are you can take advantage on both ends of the spectrum. Again, it's an investment. I don't care if you're buying Microsoft stock versus IBM stock, you need to watch them both, see what these companies are changing before you make a purchase. It's the exact same thing in the housing market. It's just typically a larger investment for you. By the way, all of it, in uncertainty specifically, will lead to tighter lending standards. That is an absolute truth. Economic uncertainty, higher borrower costs will absolutely prompt lenders to tighten their credit standards, making it harder for potential buyers to qualify. So even if rates drop, if there's still an uncertain market, you may not be able to buy because the people that want to buy or need to buy before were priced out of the market. Now we're qualified out of the market. So let's drill it back down to the agency perspective for a minute. Agents and brokers, listen up. What does this mean for us? What are the implications of tariffs directly affecting us as agents, brokers, and agencies? The impact of tariffs on a housing sector is multifaceted. While some mortgage rates will initially dip, and they did, following Trump's initial announcement, the overall uncertainty has caused home buyers and investment to be more cautious, more risk averse. It has actually slowed down the buyer pattern because they don't know what's happened next. President Trump has only been in office for a little over 100 days. He's made massive adjustments across the board, and they have not had time to adjust. The dust has not settled long enough for anybody to get any clear vision as to what's next. If you don't have the inside information, you're afraid to make a move with everything that's going on. Now, this hesitation has slowed down home sales, hasn't stopped it. The numbers still support we have a very strong market, especially in Florida. When you're living in a state that's still one of the most desirable places in the U.S. to live, it's hard to slow a market down like that. But it does lead to a more reserved approach on how people attack their buying and selling strategies. So some key implications for home buyers and investors in this market. First off, there are fewer affordable options for a buyer. As the construction costs rise, that's going to change the new builders. The builders are going to raise home prices to cover their higher cost. According to the March NAR and Home Builders Housing Market Index, building estimates from the recent tariff changes will start increasing the prices of home on an average of $9,200 per unit. This would obviously lead to fewer options for buyers. Now, again, the index is a guess, highly educated guess to where the market's going. But again, too many variables. They're filling in X, Y, Z, and K to try to get an answer. They're trying to build a crystal ball against this market. It's just not that predictable. So again, as the buyer with the money, be smart, take advantage, and arm yourself with intelligence. If you don't have a real estate agent in your pocket, you could be selling yourself short. Little hate to my builders out there. I love you guys. But when these people are walking in, they need a better partner when they're buying your new homes. You need to actually petition them you may want to go out and find a couple of real estate agents to represent you in this transaction. Yes. Does it hurt our margin as a builder because the builder ultimately will have to pay the agent a commission? Sure. But will it build a level of professionalism and a bigger level of security in the purchase? I believe so. I believe you're going to create a much stronger market partnership when you allow both sides to have equal representation. In fact, you promote it, because I'm telling you, buyers, the builders are not decreasing the price because you did not bring an agent to the table. All you did was increase their sales margin. Why would you walk into court without a lawyer and save the other side money if they lose? Next thing that hits is delay of purchasing. As the cost of living increases, many home buyers might delay purchasing altogether. They're so focused on the daily costs of what they've got to bring into their household for consumption. It's very difficult for them to focus on, I've got some free money available. That's gone. For me to be able to save, not an option. For me to be able to buy a home in a high rate market. This will absolutely contribute to some of the market stagnation that we've been seeing. And when I say stagnant, it's super slow. Listings sit on the market for longer. Pricing adjusts. There'll probably be several of them before you get the right buyer on the hook. Pricing your home appropriately is more critical now than ever, because what normally took you 60 days to figure out how the market was going to treat your home, now it's upwards of 5 and 6 months before you can make an adjustment. These delayed purchases on the resale market, conversely, push people back to the new home buyers. They figure if they're going to wait this long, they might as well wait for a new home to be built. Speaking of new homes, let's talk about the impact on new homes. For the investor side, those of you that are buying new houses with the expectation of renting them, the effects of tariffs extend beyond the construction costs. The higher material prices that potentially will strain the new development. This is also going to create a risk of delayed projects. Builders will struggle to secure affordable supplies, so they simply will wait. If your house takes another 2 months so that they can watch the market and buy windows cheaper somewhere else while they find new suppliers, while they warehouse new materials at a cheaper cost, then the wait is on you, the buyer, not on them, the builder. Then global supply chain, of course. If tariffs actually disrupt global supply chains, like some analysts will predict, the cost of those goods could potentially rise, and that would impact everything from property maintenance to tenant amenities. Broader economic shift would absolutely make it more challenging for any investor to maintain a consistent cash flow and achieve long-term returns. So for those of us that work with investor buyers, it makes it very difficult for us to talk to you about the cap rate and how we're going to be able to secure what your profit margin will be over a 5 to 10 year period. What do all these things mean to us, again, as agents and brokers? The impact of tariffs are creating challenges. They're creating opportunities for agents and brokers too. And some of these changes that will affect real estate professionals and what they can do to help their clients are great. Those of us that are on the hook, those of us that are staying maintained, those of you that are here and that you're appreciating a good, fresh sense of knowledge on what's going on today and staying relevant are going to appreciate the 4 points that I'm about to go through. Number one, navigating market hesitation. With home buyers and investors adopting a more cautious approach, real estate agents should be prioritizing building trusts and offering clear guidances. Educate your clients, both your buyers, your sellers, and agents together should be educating each other. Gone are the days of let's just battle over price. We need to talk about what's best for both sides of the table. Next, you're an advisor. Advise on housing affordability. Agents can thoroughly help clients understand how to navigate affordability challenges. Give you a perfect example. Highlight the government programs for first-time homebuyers. Direct investor clients into regions with lower exposure to tariff impacts. All of these things will be incredibly valuable. If you're just going to be an investor that wants to be in new developments, find a local builder that is already sourced all American. Tariffs will not affect them. Or those builders that bought materials in bulk and they're willing to still build their homes at yesterday's prices because they bought the materials at yesterday's prices, partner up and make sure they can help you. Guide investors and buyers on project delays and the cost of those projects. You know who it hits hardest when builders have to slow down how fast they're building your house and before they close it up? The buyer that's waiting for their house. They're still paying other expenses while they're between homes, or worse, while the market potentially is shifting and it's causing an effect and a ripple against the house they need to sell first. Potential delays in new construction could create higher operating costs as well. So if all of their margins are starting to be affected, they will naturally hit you directly in the cost of the product. And then, of course, you should be assisting the long game anyway. With all of your clients, you should be talking about the long-term plan. Agents can provide their clients with long-term strategies for buying, selling, investing in real estate. That includes securing fixed rate mortgages, shielding against rising interest rates, helping clients lock in deals before prices increase any further. If you are waiting for the housing prices to drop during this type of fluctuation, you are fooling yourself. The market prices that you are seeing in Florida, for example, the prices are coming down. These are people readjusting to what is happening in their community. So they're starting to match their comps. They came into the market hot, hoping to get a better price. Good for them. If they had the time and the availability, they could strategize that way. But ultimately, they just cost themselves anywhere from 60 to 90 days on the market. And now they've got to battle why has this house been on the market so long? Because your typical buyer isn't paying attention to time on market strategies and understanding that, yes, 6 months ago, a house was only on the market for a couple of months. Now, 5 and 6 months is the norm. So how are home buyers and investors navigating these challenges? As tariffs continue to shift, potentially extend through 2026, by the way, beyond the current housing market expectations, we could see a lot more pressure, especially with new construction, especially with mortgage interest rates. They are going to try to edge their bets wherever they can. There are some definitive strategies you can use to minimize the impact of tariffs on all of your investing plans. And again, lock in your mortgage rates early. When you're in the process and you see it, unless you know that the Fed is expected to drop a rate, you should be locking in your rate at the lowest possible opportunity today, buying it down to its lowest possible rate today. That saves you on the entire runway of an unstable market. Instead of staying in the house for 6 years, you may have to stay in the house for 10. So we want to make sure to adjust those numbers accordingly. Consider alternative builders, those that use different types of construction materials. Keep the construction costs down. You're going to use domestically sourced materials that are not subject to tariffs or import duties. Seek these people out. Find these builders that are doing maybe smaller construction projects in smaller development that, sorry, might be different than the big box approach. Diversity in location. Look into cities or regions that are less affected by tariff-induced price increases. This is going to allow you to have more affordable opportunities. They need the business. They're going to earn the business creatively if necessary. And then you need to stay informed. You need to do exactly what we're doing today. The policies that change, monitor trade policies, watch what's happening with tariffs. How are the anticipations of tariffs that these people haven't dealt with before actually being realized on the end? So kaboom, residual effect. That's what you're looking for. You need to learn from this so that you're not surprised when it happens again. Because if these are successful from the legislation, they will use them in a stronger, more threatening fashion if necessary for a temporary hiccup for a long-term gain. Be educated, be prepared, and make sure you understand how to properly educate your clients throughout the process. These tariffs are going to reshape the housing market in ways that will affect everyone, from first-time home buyers to even seasoned investors. So staying up to date and staying adaptable is going to be essential for you to successfully manage these changes. In light of the most recent tariff developments, how are you adjusting your strategies? Let us know in the comments below. Always like and subscribe. We're here for you. We're at your service, and let us know how we can help you at Keystone. Thanks everybody so much. Do great business, do great things. Stay the beacon of truth for all of your clients. Have a good day, everyone.